So to do a manual regeneration on the water softener system and clean out the element with iron remover, it's a simple process. Just take the mixing bowl. You can buy the big one or the little one, available at Home Hardware. And yeah, so it's right on there. I put a note, don't flush into septic. So before we start the regeneration and clean out the element with the iron remover, we just want to make sure that the system is set to flush with this hose coming off the back, flushes it out. We don't want it going into the septic. We have that sometimes it has to go into the septic during the really cold days because I don't know if it's going to freeze in the line, but you can manually check that. But for the most part, we want to, when we're flushing the system manually and using the iron remover, we don't want that going into the septic. That'll kill all the beneficial bacteria. So we need to make doubly sure that it's heading out into the field. And I'll show you where it terminates and drains into the field, as opposed to going into the septic system and destroying all the beneficial bacteria, which we do not want. The only time we would have it flushing into the septic system is if we have it automatically regenerating at whatever time when the demand is there to regenerate, and it's the middle of winter and we don't know if it's freezing up in the line and not taking place. For the most part it should be fine, but if there's ever an issue, we just divert it into the septic for that part. But for this part, when we're using the iron remover, we want to make sure that we're not putting it into the septic system. Here we have it showing that there's 572 gallons of water left remaining to be treated. When that's all over, it will regenerate at the next designated regeneration period, which is about 2 in the morning usually, where there's low demand. So in this case, we're just going to go with a manual regeneration rather than letting it just happen automatically. And that way we can add the iron out mixture and clean the system. So we want to remove the lid, of course. And we're going to pour this directly into the brine tank, down into the reservoir. And to do this, we use about a 1/4 cup of this. Product. You can just eyeball that, doesn't really matter, as long as it's a fair amount. Just add hot water, a liter or two. Pour it directly in. And make sure we don't spill through the overflow valve. Not handy. A little splash. Then go up here, we hold the regen button until it starts. And it'll do a countdown through the various phases. Usually takes about 90 minutes overall. Right now it's doing a backwash of the system and flushing it out to the field. Right. And so yeah, it'll be backwashing that, flushing it out this line. We cut it off from going into the main septic, into the septic tank. Instead we have it continuing on back through there with that valve open, it goes directly out and just drains into the back field where it can't do any harm. Well, that line that vents the water softener when it gets rid of the brine solution comes from under the house, goes through there. You see it just sneaking in that. It goes along the edge of that hole, down through the lawn, just past this post, and just somewhere just next to that post there, it comes out on the other side of that post. You'll see it running if you have the system going, or you could search out and see the little black pipe sticking out the side of the grass there. So that's where it's flushing to, out in the back field. Basically, there's the house. The line comes out just past the garden. You can kind of see where I dug it in. Maybe it still kind of shows. But just so you know where it's flushing to, if you're ever curious if it's working or not, when the temperatures are really cold, right at the fence, right in the corner here, right where the fence meets, you'll see it draining away. So while that's running, we can close it back up. There's plenty of salt in there. You want to keep it topped up continuously because there will always be a demand for the salt for the process of the ionization and removing the heavy elements from the water. So you want to keep that salt always topped up. Okay, regeneration is done, and it's just under 1,100 gallons capacity. So when that goes down to 200 or just under, it'll set to automatically regenerate 1 or 2 in the morning when there's no demand. It's important to note when it's regenerating for the 90 minutes it usually takes, the water is not being treated, so you're just getting regular filtered water but not treated, and once it's done regenerating it goes back into the treatment cycle.